Welcome to DT Faye Podcast. I'm Kate.
I'm Elle.
And I feel like shit. We are back from Italy, and I am turning back into a pumpkin. Like, we came back sick. I am unwell physically, mentally, emotionally.
Oh, nobody has COVID, but we're very run down. And they're, I don't know if their seasons are behind us, but there was so much pollen.
There was so much. I mean, it was beautiful. We had the most amazing time. But it is like, it's caught up to me, like all the moving around and not sleeping. And
it's a lot.
Yeah. So I kind of sound like my smoker grandmother right now. And I apologize. I will do my best.
But we're happy to be here.
Oh, and we have 3,000 followers on Instagram. So that's exciting. That was an exciting thing to happen while we were there. And we are going to partner with this really great Etsy store that you guys will probably be familiar with to do a giveaway to celebrate 3,000, and I'll post about that on Instagram pretty soon.
Ooh, that sounds exciting.
Yeah.
Today we're going to be wrapping up House of Flame and Shadow with chapters 99 through 102 and the bonus chapters that we haven't talked about yet.
Oh, and before I forget, the Nashville Fantasy Ball revealed their theme, and it is Forbidden Fantasies, an Enemies to Lovers Affair. Very sexy, and that is February 8th in Nashville, and we will absolutely be there. I'm already thinking like what we're going to wear.
Yeah, I don't know how to dress for that.
Well, enemies, to me, anything like forbidden, I just think red. I don't know. I was
thinking
like
a deep red lip, but I don't know about my dress.
Well, like a red, I don't know, like a Moor look, you know?
Something forbidden.
Something forbidden. Something sexy. And it's going to be all women, I'm sure, but
it's going to look great.
It's going to be so much fun, and we'll keep you guys updated. I don't think tickets are on sale yet. But they do have something on their website that you can like sign up to get information if you want to do that. But then we'll also talk about it, you know, once they go on sale.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I'm excited. And then after wrapping up Flame and Shadow today, next week we're going to do a post-mortem with what we liked, what we didn't like, what we hope is and isn't in the next Crescent City and ACOTAR books, which hopefully an ACOTAR announcement is coming soon.
Hopefully.
Well, we're allegedly getting a new SJM book every 2 years. Well, like financial years. So it would be sometime between March of next year and February 2026 for the actual book, not for the announcement. So hopefully we're getting an announcement way before then. But yeah, it seems like it's going to be a long time, but yeah.
That's just it's a lot of waiting. You know, even if she announces it, if she does it kind of vague and doesn't give us more information, we're going to sit and spiral for at least another year about who the books are about. So
well, and it's coming, like the publishers had they have like financial meetings, and that's when it was, it's going to be every 2 years. So you have to go based on how they determine what a year is.
Whatever their fiscal year is.
Yeah, exactly. That's the word I was looking for.
We're ready. We're ready to find out.
Hopefully something is coming soon.
Please.
Yeah.
After the postmortem, we're going to do a book club with episodes for Bride by Allie Hazelwood, then A Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle Jensen before we begin our Throne of Glass deep dive in July.
Which I'm so excited about. And I'm going to put a graphic up on Instagram before July. That's just our Throne of Glass schedule, because I haven't like broken it up yet, like to do the outlines. And I still have to do my reread. Like I brought my book with me to Italy and read zero.
There was too much to do.
But also I get kind of sick if I'm like if I'm in like a moving train or something trying to read. So yeah, I didn't get a lot of reading done.
Don't let her fool you. She leaned over my shoulder and read the reverse harem. I was reading
how many reverse harems did you even read? There were several. Because I started, what's the one I started? The dragon one.
Yeah, Honor. We'll talk about that one next week too.
It's okay.
We can get into it next week.
I'm still waiting for her to have sex with like 80% of the harem. Yeah. It's fine. And then, but yeah, we'll talk about that next week. And then our book rec this week is from Tanya Schwartz. And she recommends the Crave series by Tracy Wolff. And the covers looked really familiar when I looked it up. I don't know if you've read it.
Yes, I think we have. I don't know if you have. I definitely have, but it's been a while.
It sounded familiar, but then I was like,
wait.
I don't know. They all sound familiar because they all sound so similar.
Well, some of them have some overlapping tropes.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and this is what she says. It follows Grace Foster after her parents die, and she goes to a boarding school that her uncle runs.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Of course, it's a school for all sorts of magical creatures like vampires, witches, and dragons. There's a hierarchy of power, and there's an immediate connection with the hot, broody vampire, Jackson. She eventually learns of her lineage and that she's last in line of an extinct race. So she's not like other girls. Plus, the hot boyfriend has an equally hot brother, and he plays a key role. She said, I like this series a lot because of the action, the pacing, and the world she builds. What you think you know in book 1 gets upended in book 2. And it's not particularly spicy, but it has its moments, and there's 6 books in the series. And I mean, we've talked about this, how we're obviously like the Spice Girls, which I think should be the name of our book club, the Spice Girls.
In it.
But there is, like, we also enjoy YA. If it's a good enough story, it doesn't have to be super spicy.
Oh yeah, if I remember that, because I do remember reading this one. At first, when I was trying to remember this, I was confusing it with Vampire Academy.
Well, it's giving Vampire Academy, Zodiac Academy, like those vibes. And we love like a supernatural school setting.
Well, we also love the angst.
Yeah, we love sexy, broody vampires.
Like, build the tension. I'm okay with that. Like, it's good.
And
it's worth reading.
I think another book you started on our trip was a vampire series, right?
Yeah, I've kind of paused that one. It's got really good reviews, and it's the same authors as Zodiac Academy, but it's taking really long to like get started.
Yeah.
So, well,
keep us updated.
Whenever I get through that one, I'm going to do Bride next.
Yeah.
For our book
I'm so
club.
excited for you to Bride. Also,
so excited for me to Bride.
I'm so sorry with how I sound. Y'all, I sound so bad.
I honestly, okay, maybe it's just me, but I think she sounds like Lindsay Lohan.
Well, we have the same birthday.
I know, you're basically sisters.
I know. We need to have like a joint birthday party.
Redheads, same voice, same birthday.
Does it sound sexy or smoker? Smoker sexy?
I think it sounds sexy.
Thanks.
It's a little bit growly, but like in a good way.
Like in some of the books where he growled.
Yeah, don't do that. But I think it sounds good. We ended our last episode with Bryce saving Midgard and Hunt saving Bryce from space.
Or at least saving Bryce's body from space, because as the mask tells him, bitch is dead.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
But Hunt isn't downloading Tinder just yet.
As if being alive has ever kept a boyfriend or a husband from downloading Tinder.
Okay.
Hunt is desperately slamming lightning into his mate over and over again, trying to get her heart to start beating, despite everyone saying she's been without oxygen too long.
Yeah, well, something worked with the harpy, so there's something about his lightning that it's not just like a zap.
Right.
Hunt is begging anyone to do something, but even Apollyon and Ada say they can't, and neither can their brother, the Prince of Souls.
As if Thanatos would even try. But I am curious what he's up to right now, because he kind of disappeared.
Yeah, we can't really leave him on his own.
Yeah, and also, doesn't Ruhn have healing magic now? Like, he doesn't attempt to jump in at any point.
Yeah, but I don't know if there's anything directly like wrong for him to heal. Like this is a bigger
she's dead.
Pull her soul back in.
Right.
There is one person who thinks they might be able to help, though.
The newly crowned queen of the House of Flame and Shadow, Hypaxia, says she may be able to help.
I believe in her. Pax has been able to handle so many things in this series already.
Yeah, because she's a plot device.
But she's a good one?
Yeah.
Hunt offers to give anything, but it's not a sacrifice that's needed. It's a trade.
Jesiba Roga steps forward, and Apollyon is like, bitch! But we don't have time for this 15,000-year-old beef. Like, he hasn't seen her this entire time, and he's been holding on to it.
Man, if I was Jesiba, I'd be like, you wait your turn.
Yeah.
I'm not done with you either. Which, in case you've forgotten, the beef started because Apollyon believed the books that Jesiba protected at Parthos had some kind of secret power, and she was hiding it.
Well, he forgot that knowledge is power, especially in SJM books. Like, libraries are always important and special in the Massverse.
And in my universe.
Yeah, and in our universe.
They're so important. Jesiba, cursed with immortality thanks to Apollyon, looks down at Bryce with tears streaming down her face and offers to trade her life for Bryce's.
It's really touching because through the whole series, Jesiba's kind of like played it cool. Like, you don't know if she really gives a shit about anybody. But she obviously has cared about Bryce this entire time.
It's like you kind of knew she was invested in Bryce because of the things she'll do to help without like making Bryce trade something. But like, this is a big step.
Well, and even in this moment, people are like, wow, she's really touched. And she's like, it's hard to find a good assistant.
She's like, let's not talk about it. Just let it happen.
And also thank God that the Underking is dead, because Bryce made that really dumb deal where she like traded her place. So like she kind of sold her soul.
Yeah.
And I guess because the Underking is gone and the Bone Quarter doesn't exist anymore, that is like null and void.
Yeah, thank God. Jesiba tells Hypaxia to lead the House of Flame and Shadow back to the light, and the queen begins chanting. We then cut to Bryce's POV, and shit is very different from when she made the drop back in Earth and Blood.
And it's good different. It's like a soft golden light versus an endless chasm. It's like what you actually imagine heaven would be like is
it's like warm and restful.
Yeah.
But of course she's still restless.
Looking for the exit, Jesiba asks. They're standing.
Jump scare.
I know. Well, Bryce is kind of looking around like, wow, where am I?
Yeah.
They're standing on a lush green hill, just like the one the Underking showed Bryce after the attack in the spring. And I have a lot of questions about this. Like, do you think that Fae from all of the worlds are going to the same place and Midgard has just been cut off from it?
We talked about this in a different episode too. I hope that she discusses the afterlife more in the next book. She's kind of opened that doorway with the Underking and all these like new steps and the second light. And I'm like, okay, but what is, because people didn't used to require sailings everywhere. Right. So what does that mean?
Yeah.
And if they are all going to the same place, will we see Throne of Glass characters and ACOTAR? Like,
exactly.
Is it a much bigger universe that they're all just there?
Well, and there's a moment later on where Adis is like, do you think I'll be able to see Thea in the afterlife? And it's like, if hell is going there, it opens us up to like all the other worlds going there. You know what I'm saying?
Because that's crossing dimensions.
Right. I don't know.
So many interesting questions.
I have a lot of questions about the afterlife.
I hope we hear. Well, we'll have to discuss this next week with what our expectations are, but that's a big question I have. Bryce is shocked to hear that Jesiba has traded her own life for Bryce's, and that her choosing an amulet wasn't just for protection, it linked Bryce to Midgard itself.
And it's Midgard making this trade possible to thank her for getting rid of the Asteri and freeing Avalon, which I guess kind of makes Midgard sentient.
Well, I mean, I guess because like in some way nature is sentient and this is nature that has magic.
Right.
And it's kind of like the House of Wind too. It's sentient in some way.
They have always made references to Midgard like having its own magic. So I guess it makes sense. And like we said earlier, Jesiba's mission was to protect the Library of Parthos. And now those books are Bryce's, as is the gallery. It's like you start to see everything that Jesiba's been doing in this book. She's been working towards this moment. Like she has everything set up.
She always had this plan in some fashion, it sounds like. And this means that Bryce just inherited some very interesting books, like The Walking Dead from Throne of Glass and the Book of Breathings, or at least a copy of it.
And remember, the Jesiba revelation, that was made to Ithan. So Bryce is in this moment learning that Jesiba is actually a 15,000-year-old priestess from Parthos.
Yeah, there's not been any time to like gossip about this.
She's like, holy shit.
And she's also learning that the Underking is dead.
The angel is waiting for you, Jesiba says, gesturing towards a crystal doorway.
What? What angel? What? I have so many questions.
It's Hunt.
Oh.
Her mate.
I was like visualizing an angel in the door. Yeah, you're right.
I think
but I mean, he is an angel,
like,
an actual angel.
Well, it reminds me of, like, I'm guessing when you go to these places, you kind of like lose yourself. Like she's kind of reminding her, like, you can't stay here. You have a life you have to get back to.
Yeah, kind of like Azrael with Nesta and the mask.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Pulling her back to Earth. I mean, I know we have angels in the story, but just when you just said that, my mind was like,
an angel
in the afterlife?
It's Micah.
If they're all in the same place, and of course they're in the afterlife together. Anyway, Elle, come on. So we get one final lighted up. Oops. I'm so excited about skipping around. Basically, this afterlife is going to be waiting for her, and she needs to go back.
And they'll all be waiting for her because Danica, Connor, the entire pack of devils are there.
And here's me saying it second time. We get one final lighted up.
I don't even care because Lily is there. Like when she said Connor and Danica, I was like, that's sweet. But then when she said that Lily was on Danica's shoulder, that's what really got me.
Well, so that means at least everybody in this world is going to the same afterlife.
Well, it's confusing to me because...
Well, I guess they all died in the same city, though, so we don't... Oh, so many questions.
Yeah,
I was about to take us down a rabbit hole as I try to think that through. Jesiba says that although their second light was taken, what is eternal, what is made of love, can never be destroyed.
I kind of think this cheapens the story, if I'm being honest. Like, the happily ever after, everyone is fine. Like... So much of the first two books, and even this book, was like her, I don't know, coming to terms with what she's lost and everybody's sacrificing to help her get her where she needed to go. And now it's like, actually, everybody's fine.
I mean, they're only fine, though, because the Underking is dead. I have always thought it was weird that somebody could actually take your soul. Like, a soul in most stories is something that's not tangible no matter what. So I kind of think it makes more sense that although she was misled and they were able to, like, manipulate her with it, there's no way they could actually have touched this type of magic because it's a creator's magic, not like the Underking's magic. Like, I don't, like, I don't know. I could see what you're saying with it feeling kind of cheap that suddenly there's a happy ever after. Yeah. And we're like, okay, that was there all along. But I do think I just have more questions about the magic itself and like the afterlife, this just kind of adds more to my questions.
And she's just so happy to see Danica.
Yeah, I'd have some words for Danica.
I would too. I have so many questions.
Hey, best friend, come here.
Jesiba nudges Bryce towards the door and she opens her eyes to basically her own funeral. They're all standing around her and she's like...
They're like gaping at her. Like, wait a minute. Who died and made you prime?
Bryce LOLs when she hears that Sabine is dead, and Hunt is like, what the fuck? Because he's just lost his mate, his best friend. His coping mechanism isn't humor, like Bryce's.
Poor Hunt.
So he's just like, he takes a minute to, he's like, okay, she's alive.
This is too much back and forth for him. Speaking of Hunt's trauma, he walks among the mech suits, lying empty now that the fallen souls are gone, and thanks them for having his back this one last time.
Bryce goes on and on about Danica's dreams being realized and whatever, but really I think it's Hunt's story that kind of comes full circle. Like, he finishes this rebellion that he started hundreds of years ago.
Calm down. Like, Danica did some important things, but Hunt's the one actually like fighting and like literally on the front lines of this. Right. So like what he started really did come to fruition. Not that Danica didn't do helpful things, but Danica's kind of behind the scenes. She's not the one that started this shit. This was a couple hundred years ago when it started.
I really liked Hunt's arc with the rebellion part of it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's got a lot of trauma he's going to have to sort through, but maybe now he can actually like have time for that because the rebellion has happened and ended. Isaiah joins Hunt in case he wants someone to brood with, and they talk about the future. A bright future without the Asteri, but a complicated and messy one too.
Isaiah wants to start with dismantling the archangels in their schools and their hierarchies.
Do it.
But they'll need someone to lead the angels.
And Isaiah thinks it should be Hunt.
They did all bow to him, but I think Isaiah has a better temperament. Like I don't know. I just think that Isaiah is a better people person, and Hunt thinks that too.
Well, I mean, Hunt's a warrior, but that doesn't mean that he needs to be in management.
Well, every time they've bowed to him, it's been like they're fucking terrified.
Yeah, his
like
magic
he's just ripped someone's head off, and they're like, oh.
Hunt also doesn't really give Isaiah a choice. He's like, lead the angels, bye.
He just flies off. It's not just the angels that they need to sort out. It's the entire planet. But first, they have business they need to finish in Nina.
Yep.
There's also some throwaway mentions of Celestina and Hypaxia, who might not totally be over, and the Ocean Queen being too busy to think about Tharion. And we do learn later on that the Ocean Queen has, I guess, kind of forgiven him. She offers him a job, but there's something that Tharion needs to take care of first.
The Asteri are dead, and with them, the first light-fueled power grid.
I don't think that the power grid, like, it shouldn't be powered by force or, like, eating someone's power. Don't you think there could be, like, a donation process for First Light?
Well, I mean, if the humans can figure out electricity, could we just, do normal electricity?
Well, I don't know if they have. Like, everyone uses First Light.
Yeah. But I mean, like, there's got to be some way to, like, find a technology that doesn't require taking from others in any way.
My immediate thought was being nervous about everyone's phones dying.
I know. How are they going to communicate with everything that's going on?
There has to be a better way.
Well, I mean, I guess they could probably tax the super powerful in the meantime.
Like the
archangels.
Yeah. They could start with eating the rich.
Sure. That's very like French Revolution.
Right.
Bryce is like, smart people will figure it out.
And that's kind of her answer to everything, even though most people are going to be looking to her.
Yeah.
She's like, smart people will figure it out.
Somebody else has this.
Back to Nina, Bryce opens the portal to Prithian and finds Ember and Randall sitting around a table, drinking tea and eating chocolate cake with Nesta and Cassie. And I'd be like, oh, I'm sorry, did I interrupt something? They're just like having a great time.
I mean, this is what they deserve after the drama of being pushed into another world. The Asteri are gone, she tells her mom. Midgard is free.
They share a moment, but Rhys is going to be here in like a minute.
His entrances are always perfectly timed.
I know, it's always like right as the portal is closing that like his darkness crashes in through the windows or whatever.
Yeah, he's mad. He's big mad.
Bryce returns the mask to Nesta as promised, just like Nesta knew she would, Rhys. I would be like, does anyone want to apologize?
Anybody have something to say to me?
me?
I'm not sure how she was that confident,
Yeah,
to be honest, in Bryce.
I know.
But I'm glad it worked out. Bryce also returns Azrael's emotional support dagger, Truth Teller, and the Star Sword.
You said you had an 8-pointed star tattoo, and you found the chamber with the 8-pointed star in the prison. So you should have Star Sword, aka Gwydion, and figure out why. The age of the Starborn is over on Midgard.
Wow. We're definitely setting up something big for the next ACOTAR book.
There's also a very sweet moment between Ember and Nesta, and Nesta's clearly been enjoying having this like motherly figure. Ember pulls away from Nesta, they're hugging, and Nesta has tears in her eyes, which we know is rare. And Ember tells her, "You'll find your way."
What the fuck is that about?
I can't tell if it was like a general, you'll find your way in life, because Nesta, I think what we've learned in the bonus chapter is Nesta still isn't quite fitting in.
Yeah, especially
in Prythian and with the inner circle.
I was going to say, if Rhys is still acting this way after everything Nesta's done,
right,
there's still something going on for sure.
But there could also be things that were going on in Prythian during this entire time that we aren't privy to.
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe that's where we pick up in the next book, but
I kind of hope so, because if Nesta and Az get pulled away from whatever's going on, there's some shit hitting the fan somewhere.
Yeah.
So Nesta's story definitely isn't over yet.
Yeah, she still has to leave Cassie and run away with Az. I'm assuming.
Right. It's probably what Ember meant. I do wonder if Cass is ready for kids. Maybe Nesta isn't.
Well, and there's been several like motherhood breadcrumbs, but there's been several like Nesta being queen breadcrumbs too. So we'll have to wait and see.
Well, we also had breadcrumbs earlier about maybe some betrayal.
Mm-hmm.
We had questions about with maybe Amryn or more. So there's definitely some unrest in Prythian. Mm-hmm. Also, there's some hints about a future Ember and Randall plus Nesta and Cassian interaction.
Yeah, they're kind of like, I hope I see you. Like they're all,
hey, bud.
Yeah, they're buds.
Catch you later.
And I do wonder if we'll see any of like, not just Ember and Randall, or any of the Crescent City characters going to be in the next ACOTAR book.
Well, I mean, if the Asteri are truly gone and Bryce can open this portal, you know, if I was somebody in Prythian, I'd be like, I want to see what's happening.
Right.
Like, show me these future developments. I have so many questions.
And Nesta has the Dread Trove, and now she has Gwydion, so she could, in theory, be High Queen like Thea. Like, she has all the tools to be, you know, High Queen, but she also has ataraxia, and she has all that other shit that she imbued and made with, like, the new Trove.
That's wild that she was able to do that. So, yeah, she's showing Thea-type power.
Right.
I mean, if not High Queen, High Lady of the Desk Court.
Honestly, and I might get hate for this, I think Nesta shows more main character energy at this point in the story than Feyre. Like, if we're using Aelin and Bryce as reference points, I don't see Feyre being the FMC moving forward in ACOTAR.
Well, they kind of, just because I don't know, I am disappointed in the Silver Flames. They kind of, I know it was Nesta's story, but they kind of put Feyre in the back seat. Right. You know, you don't put baby in a corner. Like, just because she's pregnant doesn't mean she stops being a leader and whatever else. So, yeah, they're kind of setting up Nesta to be more of a leadership figure right now.
Yeah, I can't tell. I think that Az is going to have a huge part because he had the bonus chapter in Silver Flames, and then he played such a big role in Flame and Shadow. There's no way that, like, he isn't a big part of it. And then we're not done with Nesta, so I don't know how much of a lane we're going to get in it. Yeah,
well, we've also brought Nesta into this book multiple times too. So, like, we're definitely not done discussing her story. But we'll try to wait till next week to jump into all of our different theories.
Yeah, that was like a total tangent. But back on Midgard, Ruhn and Lidia are returning her sons to their adoptive parents on the Depth Charger.
It's goodbye for now while things settle down above the surface, but Lidia would like to see her sons again if that's okay with them.
Bran answers by throwing his arms around his mother. Ace is a little more standoffish, but he's definitely warmed up to Lidia.
Getting her parents from Prythian wasn't Bryce's only business in Nina. There's still the armies of hell and the princes that led them.
I'm sorry, but I'm having trouble believing that demons and beasts and princes of hell were like, I'm so glad that all this worked out. We were just happy to help.
Yeah, we've been standing around now waiting for your instruction. Definitely not attacking innocent people. Like, come on.
It's just hard to believe that they were just so, I don't know, what's the word, like, benevolent? So
yeah, benevolent.
It's just, I don't know.
Without requiring anything in return.
And maybe it's because of how we think of hell is the problem, but they really just, like, we're happy to do it because it was the right thing to do.
Yeah. There's still some questions in there. It doesn't make enough sense.
Right.
Bryce thanks the princes, and Apollyon says he's happy to lay the matter to rest and to see his brother Adis at peace.
There is a sweet moment where Bryce tells Adis that he may see Thea again, and he's like, do you think they'd really let a prince of hell into the afterlife? And it's, you know, it's sweet, and I do think that Adis, because, you know, he had his mate, probably had good intentions. I just find it hard to believe, and maybe they just love their brother that much that all the princes were willing to do this.
Well, I mean, if hopefully we can get more information about hell in the next book, but if hell is just a different dimension, I don't know why they couldn't go to the afterlife too.
Yeah,
because it's not like they're evil, then it's just a different dimension.
But they go through the portal and wave goodbye to the princes, and then they close the gate between Midgard and hell completely. So before, you know, demons were like slipping through, but in theory, it's completely closed now.
Wow. And it means Hunt's out of a job.
And he's out of daddies. But I don't think there's no way that is the last we see of the princes or of hell, especially with a certain character that's about to re-enter the plot.
Back in Lunathian, Tharion is standing on the outskirts of the meat market looking for his wife, Sathia, who left him a note explaining she needed to help her childhood friend and ex-boyfriend, Colin McCarthy, who is currently, quote, employed by the Viper Queen, a.k.a. he's addicted to her venom.
Vipe still has that bounty on Tharion's head because she blames him for the sprites burning down the meat market.
That makes so much sense. But him being there is very risky. He tells himself he just wants to make sure Sathia is okay, then he'll figure everything else out.
But it's not Sathia he finds, it's Ariadne who steps out of the shadows.
I thought she left. She better have some sort of story in the next book.
Well, she'll be crucial in the upcoming war with hell. Like, there's just that's one of the reasons that I think we're not done with hell, because we're now reintroducing dragons.
Yeah, what's the whole point of hearing about Dragonfire?
Right. Why were we told that Dragon's Fire is one of the only things that can harm a prince of hell if that doesn't come into play?
Yeah.
It's kind of like, I don't know. I don't know if everyone has read Fourth Wing, but I do have a theory about a certain dragon dying because it's been beaten over our heads that, like, if a dragon dies, the rider dies. And for something to be that established to not then be challenged because someone has two dragons, I think that's where the next book is going to go. But, you know.
Yeah. I mean, like,
what do I know?
To keep referencing it and mentioning it, like, why bring it up if it's not going to be like,
right.
They're laying breadcrumbs now.
Yes.
Feels like. The last chapter, 102, begins with Bryce standing in the foyer of the Autumn King's villa in front of an audience of Fae nobility, guards, and cameras.
The media is there. I'm assuming like the To Fae show. I know it was bad. To witness Bryce's first and only decree as the Fae Queen of Valbara and Avalon, the ending of the royal houses.
She's not abdicating the thrones. She's burning the thrones to the ground. The Fae monarchy is abolished.
She's also donating her father's residences to house humans displaced by the attack on Asphodel Meadows. In fact, all of the royal properties will be sold to anyone who can stomach the tacky-ass decor, and the profits will go towards the rebuilding of the meadows.
The Asteri are gone and the Fae kingdoms with them. In their place, they will build a government built on equality and fairness, and Bryce will represent the Fae in that government.
The nobility react exactly how you would expect them to. So again, there's going to be more plot lines for the next book. Like, they have to build a whole ass government from scratch. They have to elect leaders. There's going to be an inevitable rebellion, and there's going to be coups. Because, you know, not everyone is just going to follow Bryce's lead because she signed a piece of paper with a very fancy pen. Like, these nobility, I mean, it's been that way for 15,000 years. And the Asteri they've also set it up to where no one trusts each other. The Fae don't trust the shifters.
Yeah, but if they also get a permanent Oh my gosh, brain stopped. A permanent fix. What's the word?
Democracy?
No, for the parasite. A permanent
antidote.
Thank you. I don't like brain's just like not happening. It's not firing. If they have a permanent fix for like the parasite and people are healed, there's gonna be a lot more power thrown around.
Right.
So like right now,
there's the power. There's gonna be so many power shifts.
Yeah. Well, so like right now she has power and they kind of have to bow to her because she outranks them power wise. But like once they can come into their own, it's gonna be like black market power trade. People are gonna be subterfuge and like there's gonna be a lot of coups. Yeah. You can just tell it's coming. Ruhn and Lidia walk into an apartment, their apartment, just below Bryce's, one that feels way too close.
It's very close.
Gross. I don't need to know what you guys are doing on that bed upstairs. One with a bedroom with 2 beds for Lydia's boys.
And no disgusting frat house with thin walls and sticky floors. Can you imagine? Like, that's no place for Lidia.
I mean, it's just so gross. They sit on the couch processing everything and they talk about the future.
Lidia is, as always, a little more realistic about sorting out because everyone's like, it's just all going to work out. And Lydia's like, we have an entirely new system of government. We have to dismantle slavery. And just because you put out the word like slavery is illegal, everyone's not going to be like, okie dokie, and release.
Well, also, like, we may have a prince and I guess our new queen, but that doesn't mean he went to school for anything related to government. Like, they have no idea how to lead anything.
They're in their 20s.
Excuse me. I'm sorry. Ruhn led the Ox, but that's not the same thing as like reestablishing a whole new government.
And Ruhn does plan to help. He's heading up the Ox with Ithan because now it's not going to be split up as like each house having their own. It's going to be like the Ox, you know?
Which is good.
Yeah.
He's no longer a prince and she is no longer the hind. They're just Ruhn and Lidia.
And as he promised on the Mind Bridge, Ruhn hands Lidia a beer and they toast to a normal life.
Bless her heart. I don't know if I'd want to start with beer. I don't think she'll like it.
Yeah, which beer?
But they don't get a long vacation. 2 days later, they're at the Ox headquarters with Ithan, Flynn, and Deck.
We learn that Lunathian's engineers have been meeting with the Ocean Queen, who fuels her ships with something other than First Light. But the problem with that is I think she's been fueling it with her power, right? I'm assuming. I don't know. In the meantime, they do need to start, like they have to figure out the First Light. They also need to figure out who their allies are in and outside of the city.
Oh, yeah. You just turn, everything is in chaos right now. You just overturn the government. There's going to be a lot of, I don't know, to calm things down. There's going to be a lot.
Think about all of the archangels who, like they were all, they grew up in those weird little schools that they talked about, that they're, like they've been training to be in charge their entire lives, and now you're telling them they're not in charge.
Well, they also have a lot more power.
And they have a lot of power.
So yeah, they're going to be having issues. I mean, all of the angels have been brainwashed to some extent, so it's like changing their ways of thinking. It's going to be difficult. I mean, the archangels are predictably not thrilled about the new setup.
But at least Ithan wants to start playing sunball again.
That seems relevant.
I know, like there's all these huge, like, oh my God, we have a new government. We don't have electricity. And Ethan's like, you know what? I could step back on the field.
I mean, it's the happy ending that nobody asked for.
Bryce and Hunt are unpacking the boxes that Ithan packed. You know, he's like...
The 2 boxes he packed.
Yeah, exactly. Because they're at the new location of Griffin Antiquities, which now belongs to Bryce.
AKA the Library of Parthos.
Hypaxia tells Bryce that, of course, she goes back into little scientist mode. She's like, put her glasses on. She's like, if I can stabilize the antidote, then they can have it out to everyone by spring with Redner Industries' help.
Wow, callback.
I love a little callback. We learned Bryce and Hunt took the antidote, and the surge of magic was so intense that an entirely new island popped up in Avalon.
Okay.
And there was a whole day of thunderstorms thanks to Hunt. And I think he got, like, charged by, like, he was fined. Like, you know, the angels aren't supposed to be messing with the weather.
Yeah.
There's a whole day of thunderstorms. But also while all this is happening, he's unpacking a statue of Thur. And, like, Sarah, what are you trying to tell us?
Why are we still talking about Thur?
What was all that?
Are demons, yeah.
Now that we've learned where he really came from, what's with all the Thur shit?
There's got to be something else linked to that that's going to come up.
Has to be.
Bryce has 3 new employees helping with the library. Salsa? Sorry, I say her name all wrong. Rithi and Milena.
And Syrinx is back snoozing underneath her desk.
Siri.
So everything is back to the way it should be.
Miss that sweet baby. Bryce isn't sure where Arithis is, but she assumes that she's out there helping to free all the sprites that are still enslaved.
Poor Baxian is still on Avalon, so he's trying to keep the Fae in line. But Fury and Juniper have returned to the city, although they have not returned to the plot.
Just when you think you're getting one last spicy scene, Baxian calls and tells them 24 flying horses are on Avalon.
Because is it Pegasi? Pegasus?
I think it's still Pegasus.
The Pegasus are back.
Woo!
Don't ask me how, because I don't understand where they could have possibly been, just like in a pocket of, it doesn't make any sense.
Popped out of the ground.
Yeah, they just like appear.
It's like one of those Cabbage Patch Kids.
Yeah.
You know those dolls?
They just unfurl out of the ground.
Here they are. Finally, something on our Flame and Shadow bingo card, though.
We should revisit our card next week for the LOLs because we were so fucking out of pocket.
I don't know. Some of those may still happen in the next book. We
Maybe.
Can't confirm. They take a rain check on the desk sex and rush to see Jelly Jubilee IRL.
There is a lot of work to be done, but the book ends with Hunt and Bryce running out to live life together.
Oh, that's the end of this book. We'll talk reactions and predictions next week, but we still have a few bonus chapters to discuss.
We've already recapped the Bryce, Nesta, and Az chapter, and that's where we learned that our favorite Bat Boy is a club rat. We've also talked about the Ember and Randall bonus chapter, which showed us what happened in Prithian after Bryce traded her parents for the mask, which was mostly Reese just like screaming at Nesta. And if you're interested in reading those and you don't want to buy 20 copies of the same book, we got you. Just send me a DM and I can send you. There's like a Google Doc that has all the bonus chapters.
Love that.
So we're going to start with the Danica and Bryce bonus chapter, which finally shows us what happened that night that Bryce got the horn tattooed on her back. And this is way back. This is before the events of the first book. So Bryce is still in her like party girl, carefree era. And so is Danica, or at least that's what she wants Bryce to think. We now know that this bitch was very secretive, had a lot of side quests. And we're only a week out or a week away from her causing the blackout, a week out of her causing the blackout and stealing the horn. So that's where this is in the timeline, if you're trying to like line it up. They smoke a shit ton of mirth root, and Bryce wants to stay in, like her bra's already off, but Danica pushes her into going out. Bryce can see that there's something up with Danica, and she assumes that it's Sabine related because Bryce has no fucking clue what's going on yet. She has no idea. And they're both drunk, or Bryce is drunk and Danica appears to be drunk. And Danica's like, we should go get tattoos. And Danica tells the tattoo artist that she has a design and specific text in mind, through love, all is possible. And she wants it done a certain way. I'm sorry, y'all. My voice is like,
you've almost made it.
She says something about bringing an additive for the ink, like it's a special wolf thing or something, which is weird because this was allegedly spontaneous. So Bryce is kind of side-eye because she's like, let's go get tattoos. It'll be totally random. And then she's like, I brought this specific ink. What do you mean? But Bryce is drunk and she trusts her best friend. There are no big revelations or anything in this bonus chapter, but it does show a little more personality for some of the other members of the Pack of Devils. Do you want to read the next part? Because I'm fading.
The Bryce Hunt chapter is a post-Flame and Shadow. They're using First Light sparingly while they find an alternative power source. They've been at Ember and Randall's for 3 days, mostly shoving thoughts and feelings about everything that's happened into a black hole and making fun of Ember's weird art projects. Poor Ember. Hunt and Bryce have been recruited to help decorate the temple for an upcoming solstice ceremony, marking Hunt's first solstice with family since his mom. And I will say that Bryce does a lot better at handling Hunt's trauma in the bonus chapter. It reminded me of the ACOTAR Christmas special, with everyone exchanging presents that are full of callbacks, like Bryce's first edition Josie and Laurel album and a mint condition Jelly Jubilee, still in her original packaging. It's sweet, but I think the Ruhn and Lidia bonus chapter is probably my favorite.
I love the Ruhn and Lidia.
You may do that one too?
Yeah.
In the Target exclusive, we check in with Ruhn and Lidia a few weeks after the events of Flame and Shadow. Lidia is fully integrated, wearing jeans and all, and the two are extremely happy and horny. Like the Bryce and Hunt chapter, it's kind of like a day in the life vibe. And that life is normal-ish, but there's the threat of no first light looming. That's a recurring theme in the bonus chapters. There's even a group of conspiracy theorists who refuse to believe first light will run out. So, it's just like real life. At dinner, Lidia tells Ruhn she'd like to marry him, and he's all in, but doesn't want a big fancy ceremony like Nesta and Cassian. He wants a small party with friends, which is good because, surprise, Ruhn, you're at your wedding. That's cute.
It's very cute. I love how they switch roles.
Yeah.
She's surprising him.
I love that. He's led to the night garden where everyone, including Lydia's sons, are waiting. After their failed rendezvous on the autumnal equinox, the two finally dance together. And for now, for the first time, Ruhn's life is perfect. Next week, we'll share our thoughts on Flame and Shadow and talk future Crescent City and ACOTAR books.
And I will try to be better by then. Thanks, y'all.
Thanks, y'all.